I think that's what my thought to rest right now is taking the exhale. Finding moments to exhale and to breathe and to live. All right, man. I'm ready for.
We back.
We are back. Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Let's have a good conversation. I wanted to make sure we opened up and talked about how we're all doing. So, call this part of the opening just a check-in time.
Right.
So, I wanted to ask you today, how are you resting? A couple days ago, you reminded me of, how life has gotten busy, for you in particular. And so I just wanted to ask, how are you resting right now?
I'm going to say right now,
Yeah.
I'm not really resting well. I have some mechanisms that I use to kind of organize my life, and having rhythms to check and ensure that those mechanisms are actually doing what they're supposed to do. How your calendar's set up, all the things that go along with having your life organized so that you rest, and then you plan things around that. Because we do the opposite, right? We plan things and then we try to stick rest in it. When actually we should plan rest and then put other things around that.
Right.
So what ends up happening is that oftentimes those mechanisms just need to be relooked, in a healthy. You have to have healthy rhythms to be able to, relook those things. I lost track of that.
Right.
And, just other things. It could be a plethora of other things that can cause you to kind of lose sight. And so now we're going into reset mode. Right. And what we're doing now is just resetting some of those mechanisms. So this is a time for us to just kind of slow down.
Yeah. And
relook at those mechanisms, the things that aren't working, and, make some changes, make some shifts.
Well, let's have some real talk then.
Okay.
So in the midst of us understanding that we came here to not only talk about rest, but to practice rest and to see our culture through the lens of rest.
Yeah.
So if you mentioned right now that some of the mechanisms that you have in your life is not providing you the space for rest, what's your life feel like right now?
Right now, it feels not, it's a simple way to say it.
Yeah.
I'm not rested.
Right.
And so when I'm not rested, that actually impacts other areas of my life.
Right.
Being a...
So let's talk about that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So being a military veteran and having some of the health problems that I have, I've lived long enough and been through enough seasons to know that if I don't start making some changes, like immediately, like whenever you feel that, when you feel something's out of place, out of order, like you need to move.
Yeah.
You need to start making some changes, because that's the, it's kind of a warning. Like, okay, if I don't do that now, then, other things can happen.
Right.
That will force me to have to do it.
Right.
So we don't want things to get there. I've been there before. So now I'm feeling little things out of order, not feeling so rested, and things are popping up all over the place, and you realize that, now you are moving your day of rest around to accommodate the things that you have to do. And that's not how, it's not how we need to live. And so we know that we're always the best version of ourselves, and we're truly enjoying, I believe, life the way that God intends it, whenever rest is that kind of central place in the week, and we just kind of then begin to organize our week around our time of rest. That's how we live best.
Yeah. Well, man, thanks for sharing. And, I'm walking with you through the journey of rest.
Yeah.
And
thank you for asking that, because that's another part of, that's a mechanism that we need. We need people in our lives that we give permission, to ask us those tough questions.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're in this journey, together through rest. And so I like hearing our conversations. And just as you just mentioned, just being able to talk through things that maybe we have thought about, but we haven't really expressed.
Yeah.
So having each other and having others around us to talk through rest, I think is really important. I know that you also mentioned, that you're going to practice opportunities to rest throughout the week,
Right.
and I think that's one of those mechanisms
Yes.
that you're like really referring to.
Yeah.
And I thought that you even mentioned that this might be the start of it this week.
Yes.
But you weren't able to start that this week. So,
You see?
yeah.
So next week, for sure, we got to follow through on that.
Right.
And so, Nilda and I were really dialed in on ensuring that next week we do follow through on ensuring that we get the rest that we're supposed to get. And not rest in the sense of we stuck it someplace in our week, around the many things that we need to do. Because then what you're doing then is you're catering to the chaos. It should be the other way around.
Yeah.
Like, what is the central thing that you can count on every week,
Right.
that's important, that feeds your soul.
Yeah.
And that prepares you for the things that you need to do.
Yeah.
You need to, we should be human beings, right? We should be, so that we can do out of our being, and not the other way around. You're never going to work hard enough to be rested,
Yeah.
but you can rest well enough to work hard,
Right.
and so, yeah, we're definitely making some changes next week, God
Awesome.
willing.
Well, I'm in this journey with you, so I'm going to
Yeah.
keep saying that. Hopefully we'll keep having conversations.
Yeah.
We'll keep practicing it
Yeah.
and live it out.
So what about you? How are you resting?
I think that's my thought to rest right now is taking the exhale. Finding moments to exhale and to breathe and to live is really what I'm trying to focus on being able to do.
Yeah.
I really appreciated yesterday. So I've been trying to do this for like 3 weeks, is to take a run,
Wow.
So life is just, haven't been able to get the opportunity, to take a run for one reason or another, whether or not it was family activity, whether or not there were things to do,
Right.
whether or not it was an opportunity that we had to focus on the season that we're in life. So whatever it was, I just wasn't able to take that run, So yesterday I was able to really take the opportunity to take the run, and it just felt so good, man. Because I can get out there, and that's one of the practices for me to rest. I always realize when I can actually get out, exercise, and specifically run, jog.
Yeah.
For me, it's one of those things where I know that life has slowed down enough for me, to do some of the things that enable me to live out rest. So that's how I'm doing. I'm appreciative that I'm learning to exhale and I'm exhaling, in the things of life.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to overwhelm myself and overwhelm the situations around, and really mindful of everything that I'm doing, not to just be overwhelmed.
Right.
It's just a huge word. Like when I'm feeling, a little bit of things in life are just coming at too fast of a pace,
Right.
or too big of a situation.
Yeah.
One, exhaling, and then, just taking some opportunities to find a way to slow it down.
Yeah.
So I think that if I start to just process it out with you right now, I do believe that I'm doing well. I want to do better, though. I want to breathe more. I want to be more present with myself, with others around. I want to be present with God. I want to continue to slow down. I want to breathe better. That's something I've been practicing right now, is just
Right.
my breathing. I think that it has a huge impact on being able to be relaxed,
Yeah.
being able to think clearly, being in tune with my body.
Yeah.
So that's some of the things that I'm kind of focused on. Yeah. So thank you for asking.
Yeah, I love what you're saying. The word I was looking for earlier was overwhelmed, and you mentioned that. And that is a very familiar place for people that are unrested.
Right.
And it's not that you have too much to do,
Right.
it's that you're overwhelmed with how you're doing, how you're doing whatever those things are.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing that I've heard, sitting down and being present with people. The biggest things that I've heard in the season of life that we're in right now is so many people are overwhelmed and weary.
Yeah.
And, those are two themes. And I think that it's something that is speaking to our society, speaking to everyone around us. Everybody resonates with that word, overwhelmed. And so I think for us to talk about this and to find healthy rhythms in life, for us to practice rest so that we're not overwhelmed, and then get to the heart of really what does it mean to rest. Rest is a life that's not dependent upon ourselves, but a rest is really dependent upon God, so.
That's right.
So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. That's the weariness and being overwhelmed, right? Doing things in your own strength and your own ability.
Right.
Which brings you in contact with your limitations.
Yeah.
And if we listen, limitations can be very positive things.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us today. If you enjoyed today's content, click the like button and subscribe so that you can receive notifications for more of the recordings and information that we'll be sharing. We'd love for you to join us next time. So click that like button and subscribe to the Rest Podcast.